Okay, so in this video, we're going to start to build a character using splines and modifiers, just like your lab 2. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've come over here to the Shapes tool, and I'm going to create, I'm going to use a line, and in my front view, I'm going to create an outline of half of my character. Okay, so rough outline. Turn off that grid so you can see. Okay, so rough outline, and then I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go to my Modify tab, and using my vertices, I'm going to make adjustments to clean this up. And so one of the things I want to do is, you see my dark black line, I want to make sure that vertex is on it. Okay, and then I'm going to right click and change that to a smooth corner. And let's just do the same for all of those. And then I can use these to make my adjustments. I intentionally want this not to be perfect, like a head, but yet a head. Okay, and I want this flat on the bottom, so I'm going to leave these like this. Just straighten this up so it's a flat bottom. Actually, I might make it slightly higher than flat because that kind of helps. Okay. And so now you see my start and my end points are on that black line. Okay. So I'm going to unclick this. So I'm out of it. And then I'm going to apply the lathe modifier. And okay, men, that's what I want. Okay, so you see I have a nice cute little body. Now, see what's happened down here? This object should be purple. It's not. One of the things that happens sometimes is that it flips your normals. And what that means is that every surface has an outside and an inside. And the inside is black and the outside is whatever color you've selected. And if it's not black, and we know it's not because we see that it's purple, you will need to come down here and check under parameters, flip normals. And that will turn it inside out, right? So it's like when you put on your shirt sometimes and the seams are on the outside. So what do? You take it off, flip it. And that's exactly what this is, just taking it off and flipping it. And that looks pretty good. And if I, come in here and I see I want to make some more changes, I can to my vertices. But I'm pretty happy with that. It looks pretty cute, pretty good. Right, and that's a good starting place. So now I want to create some hair. I'm going to create some hair. I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to, and let me change this color to make it easier to see here, to something lighter. Let's make her green. There we go, now you can see her. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my splines, and I'm going to select helix. Now, with the helix, you have one radius, a second radius, a height, a turns, and a bias. And I'm just going to draw it so you can see what that is. Okay, so the first radius, you can see right here. The second radius, oh, it made them the same. The height, now it's controlling the height. Usually it's two different radiuses, but this one put them in the same. And then turns, Oh, now it's allowing me to do the second radius. Okay, so you're doing the first radius, the second radius, the first radius, the height, and the second radius. And that's it. And that's all it lets you do just by clicking. So 3 clicks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it and go to my Modify tab. And now I can make adjustments to that first radius. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see. Okay, so I can make adjustments to the first radius, to the second radius, which is the one on the bottom. So the first radius is the one on the top. The second radius is the one on the bottom. The height is how tall it is. The turns is the number of amount of times that it rotates, like that. And then bias has to do with where it sits. So if you were going to do, see if you're going to do a snake coiled up, that would be more like it. For this, I'm going to do hair, and that kind of works. I kind of like that. Let's do that for her hair. Now, it's too big. I want it to be able to sit on her head. No, maybe it's about right. I'm just kind of watching over here. Let's start with that. Okay, so I'm going to take this. So she has a snake on her head. I like the idea of that. That's kind of cool. Interesting character. Okay. So what I'm going to need to do is come over here to rendering and check enable in renderer and enable in viewport so that it has that thickness to it. And then I can make adjustment on how thick it is. I can increase that number. Okay, so radial is the default, meaning it's round. You can change it to rectangular if you prefer. It's kind of cool. And then you can make adjustments to the, looks like spaghetti. And then down here you can still control the parameters. Okay. And so now what I have, I'm just going to render this out, is I have a character that I have started to build out of splines. And I can continue from there. It's pretty cool. Kind of a Medusa character. We just need to go give the snake a head. So let's see, the best way to do that would be, I think, to create, and since we're only working with splines, you just want to use splines and modifiers for this, because you're showing that you've learned how to do this. So I'm going to use an ellipse. Now on this I want to turn off those attributes. I think the head needs to be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to rotate it to align with the end of the helix. And move it to where the head would go. Okay, and then I'm going to add that extrude modifier. Let's give it, and I'll explain why in a second, let's give it a bunch of segments, like 10. Yeah, let's give it a lot of segments. Okay, looks good. And now let's apply the turbo smooth to it. Yeah, it's still tessellated, and it has to do with the fact that it doesn't have any segments over here. Okay, so what helps smooth that out for now, I'm going to show you guys how to fix this, because the next thing we're going to do will help fix it. But for now, don't worry about it. Just give it a couple of iterations, and that's enough to solve it. Okay. Okay, so I want to go back to extrude because turbo smooth should be on top, and I want to apply a taper modifier. Oops. And I want to do it. Oh. Yeah. Okay, my Y. And you see how that starts to. Oops, wrong way. There we go. And that kind of bends the snake's head. But now I'm extruded too much. I want to move that. Woo, wrong way. There we go. There we go. Okay. Back to the turbo smooth. And so now I have more of a snake-like head here. And if I wanted to do his tongue, well, let's see, character, snake head. Let's rotate that snake head so that it's alive and not just a snake sticking up there on top of her head. You just got to play with it in the different views to make sure you've got what you need. Okay, so more interesting, right? Now I should have created the tongue first because it's going to be harder to move it into place before I rotated it. I'm going to stop this video here before I run out of video and then I can't upload it, and continue in the next video.